The voice of Husker Nation is on the air. This is Hail Varsity Radio. Insight, opinion, expertise, along with the biggest names talking Nebraska sports. Join in with the show at 402-489-1240 or 1-800-825-5865. Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbal.
Welcome to it, weekend editions here. It's Hail Varsity Radio. We are at the bar, 16th and P, noon to 2. Chris Schmidt, Mark Kranak en route. The pride of Fairbury is Bill Dolman. Elijah Herbal back in studio. It's a bookend for you on this Nebraska-Michigan Saturday as we're here for pregame at the bar, 16th and P. Seth and Greg, big thanks to them having us out, and then Real Red Reaction follows immediately after Nebraska-Michigan. There's all sorts of folks, Lincolnites and those in red from beyond, that are here in line for the world-famous Slinky, maybe for just a Budweiser or a glass of water, because it is a chilly 90 degrees outside. We want to thank our friends at Sauter Heyman for powering our road trip. And guys, it should be an electric ball game. I think the crowd, as we've gone from Monday to today, kickoff looming, I think there's a little bit more excitement. There's also some worry and trepidation that has also grown, but it's starting to feel finally now Saturday like it's a big game day in Lincoln.
It is pretty remarkable downtown, the scene. There are folks everywhere. You see a lot of people from Ann Arbor and Michigan fans in their maize and blue. This really does feel much different than the last 2 weeks. You know, there's always an excitement when Nebraska kicks off the season at home. That first game is great, but this has a bit of a buzz that I don't think you're right, Chris. I don't think it's really been palpable until today. And it's pretty exciting downtown. I think people with the weather the way it is, it's hot, but they're enjoying a nice October day in Lincoln. So that's kind of fun. The one thing that does worry me a little bit, the fact that this is a road game for Michigan, is sometimes teams get up for their first road trip of the year because they're all together, one for all, that kind of thing. So that might actually play in the favor of the Wolverines to be in an atmosphere like this.
It's a winning day here at the bar. I tell you what, the drinks are flowing. There's high fives being had. There's some Lazari's Pizza off to our
Lazari's Pizza.
Yes.
Where's Portnoy?
If he knew what was good for him, he'd be right here having a slice. So it is all about Nebraska-Michigan today, 489-1240. If you're on your way to the game, want to chime in, welcome to do it. You could also say what's up as we are here at the bar, 16th and P, till 2 o'clock today. The StreamYard is open. Can stream the show. The Hail Varsity YouTube channel, Hail Varsity Radio, Twitter feed at H Varsity Radio. Elijah, you recovered, brother. You had a good time last night, rock and rolling some high school football, and you turn around, you bounce up, and it's Nebraska-Michigan, my friend, and you've got your red on. You have your ticket in hand, it sounds like.
Yeah, we're going to be watching the game from the 200 level on that east side today. So I've heard a lot about the seat backs. I'll give you guys an honest review of what it's like to watch a game at Memorial Stadium with seat backs following the game. So looking forward to that. Also, got Tottenham-Liverpool on TV right now, so that's good. Tottenham took a 1-0 lead. People who know me know I'm a big Spurs guy. I know today is not about soccer. I am still pretty happy about that. And then overall, it's the opportunity that awaits. I know we were a bit down yesterday on Nebraska's chances. I still feel that way. It's a real uphill battle for Nebraska to go get a win today. But at the end of the day, it's about opportunity, and you're going to get opportunities in this conference in the Big Ten. You have a big one today with number 2 in the nation coming to town.
Well, let's start there. What do you think Nebraska gets out of the game today? What is the pro? What is the con? And what is the reality here, not just for next Friday or Northwestern or Purdue, but today it sounds boring to say, but it is a learning experience for Nebraska, just to kind of see where they're at on the national stage and scale of a college football playoff team, but also where are they at in the grand scheme of Big Ten football? Now, Wisconsin is kind of like Nebraska, where they're getting better each game. They had their misstep at Washington State, who's turned out to be a really good football team. So Wisconsin's still kind of there. Iowa right now, I mean, they're licking their wounds off of being shut out. As bad as we make fun of Iowa's offense, they're still winning 8, 9, 10 ball games a year. They were shut out. So Iowa's not in a great spot. And you know, you don't want to fall to 0-2 if you're Nebraska in Big Ten play. It's a tall task to even your record at 500 today. But I think there's a lot you can learn about this Nebraska football team. You preach physicality. You've shown physicality. Now you get a match up with the gold standard of physicality for 4 quarters today.
I think this is a game of 4 reals, okay? The Nebraska defense has gotten a lot of praise over the last 4 weeks, and justifiably so. But today is the day. Is this black shirt defense legitimately black shirt quality, worthy, and is it for real against a physical running football team in Michigan? So that's one. The other is Heinrich Haarberg. Is he for real as, I'm not going to say as an elite quarterback, but as a good Power 5 major conference starting quarterback? Is he for real in that regard? And can Nebraska utilize the option in this transition period from the last decade? But can the option be utilized as a for real weapon the rest of this season as Matt Rule and company get the players that they need to do it, whatever it is that they want to do? But it does appear as though Matt Rule and Marcus Satterfield and E.J. Barthel and Ron Brown, they are embracing the value that the option brings to a Nebraska football team. Because you go back when Bill Callahan took over in the 4-year case of the flu, all right? It was jamming round peg, square peg, round hole. We are going to do this West Coast stuff and all this motion, and we're going to do it, be damned. And forget the pass, forget the option. They didn't do any of that stuff. Mike Riley didn't do any of that stuff. Bo Pelini, I think, embraced it a little bit, because he had Ron around. But for the most part, there has not been the utilization of what made Nebraska so dominant for so long. At least you see Matt Rule saying, you know what, that might be best for us right now. We will implement it, and we will use it, and we will transition and not just jam things through. So is that option for real for Nebraska for the remainder of the season and in the transition?
And another question with that is you've heard a lot about how the option, why it doesn't work as a main thing to go to in modern college football. Defenses are faster. They floated the ball faster. We're going to see how well Michigan's defense is at stopping the option day. I guarantee they've been preparing for it all week long. One thing Louisiana Tech did was they never took the quarterback on the option. They were always waiting for that pitch, and that pitch never came. And Heinrich Haarberg busted off 3 long runs on the option. I know one was called back due to holding, but we'll see if Michigan takes the quarterback and how much more willing Nebraska is to run that option whenever you're putting your quarterback into the line of fire, because that's generally your option rules for a defense. The first man on the outside line of scrimmage takes the immediate threat. That's the quarterback. Take that quarterback, and then you have your linebackers scraping over the top and getting the running back. That's kind of the argument for why the option doesn't work, is because linebackers have gotten smaller and faster in college football in recent years. They're better able to scrape over and get to that running back. We're going to kind of get that proof of concept today, because I have a feeling Michigan is going to be well-versed in their option rules today. They're going to be ready for it. They're going to be taking that quarterback, because I also feel like Nebraska is going to run it early and often, that option, with the success they had last week. We'll see how well prepared Michigan is for it, and realistically, is what people have been saying for years about defenses being faster, quicker to the ball. Is that actually an effective way to stop the option? We're going to find out today, because I do really feel like, as you said, Bill, that Nebraska found like they found something last week with that option offense, and I think they're going to go back to it today.
We also get a chance to see what Nebraska believes in offensively, not just the option, but what are some other pet plays? What's their bread? What's their butter? What's their go-to? And it's been that power football. It's been that right side of the line. It's been Poland Piper. Guys, you look at players that have been injured that get kind of built back up. And it's a situation where Nebraska has a guy in Teddy Prohaska that we're interested in seeing where he's at. Where is Teddy P going to be? What can he do today from a snap count standpoint? Is he somebody that can come in and stabilize that offensive line beyond some unbalanced line looks? And I know we've talked about it the last 2 weeks, but is this when he makes his triumphant return for more than just a role today on offense? Is he a guy that can anchor that left side, bring some balance to the line, and quite frankly, bring some protection when there is the opportunity at some play action pass? Because Nebraska's going to have to hit a couple of plays downfield beyond 40 yards, you'd think. They need a big play. They need the big play in the option. They need the big play from the running game. They need the big play from the tight end or a wide receiver to get down, so you're not just one-dimensional on offense and it's 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, no matter what your special teams may give you. And Elijah's either telling me to hang 10 or we have a special guest on the phone. Let's welcome in. He's imaginary. He wears red. And he has a working phone today that didn't work yesterday. The infamous Clausburn is on to make his Nebraska and Michigan prediction. Claus, thanks for posting bail, and thanks for jumping on today. How are you?
Well, I'm doing all right. I do want to apologize to you and all the listeners that you have for not being able to be on the program yesterday. My phone was actually stolen, and I think I've got a couple of suspects. They are Lloyd Carr and Charles Woodson. Of course, Charles stole Peyton Manning's Heisman Trophy, and Lloyd Carr stole our AP National Championship. And of course, once you get a taste for stealing, why that taste never quite leaves. So that's what I suspect happened, but of course we'll leave that to the authorities.
Well, I'm sorry there was theft at the Clausborn compound, and you're blaming Lloyd Carr and Charles Woodson. Well played, Claus. You've had plenty of time to analyze this thing. How are you feeling, good sir, about Nebraska-Michigan?
Well, obviously Michigan's a pretty good football team, and we've had our struggles this year. But, of course, Michigan's had their struggles as well. Of course, Jim Harbaugh had to miss 4 games. I'm not really 100% sure why. Maybe he got an NIL deal for some khakis that people weren't quite aware of, and he had to serve some suspensions. I'm not really sure, but I feel like Nebraska playing at home and being able to play a little bit more ball control offense as we saw last week, maybe we got a shot at this one. If we can hang on to the football, control the pace of the game, I think Nebraska can pull off the upset 31 and Michigan 28.
Claus is saying not only does Nebraska pull the upset, but they score 30 points plus in Big Ten play.
Which would be an upset in its own right.
That is. Claus,
I may have had a little bit to drink searching for my phone last night. I can't really confirm or deny at this point.
Claus, that is what we're looking for from you, the analysis, the optimism, and you're it. You're the one that's picked, you and Dolman picked Nebraska to prevail today.
Well, Bill has always been a relatively smart fella. As you well know, he made some great hires in his radio career. So I think we probably ought to listen to Bill and go with whatever it is he says.
Yeah, Nebraska by 78.
Yeah, Bill said it's a monster cover by Nebraska. Claus,
well, I don't know what version of EA's NCAA football you used to simulate and get that, Bill, but I appreciate it.
Claus, enjoy your Saturday, bud. Thank you so much.
Okay.
There he goes. Clausburn. He's imaginary. He wears red. We're here at the bar, 1644 P Street. Weekend edition of Hail Varsity Radio. Mr. Kranak has made his way in. The Iron Horse, Gary Sharp, is here as well. And we're powered on the road by your friends at Sauter Heyman. What do you think of that, Elijah? Bill, that Claus not only says Nebraska, but 31's the number.
That's something. I tell you what, 31 points. It's so funny to see the dichotomy of yesterday. Connor Clark is asking, will Nebraska even put up any points tomorrow? And then we have Claus coming in saying, well, yes, they are. It's going to be 31 points. That's something.
And I believe the Nebraska number today is 9.5 as of this morning.
The team total,
9.5. Team total.
Wow.
Yeah, not Nebraska, plus or minus 9, but yeah, Nebraska's team total 9.5. If we're going to do predictions, because we didn't get to Claus yesterday, I'd like to say I like Oregon State over Utah, and I like USC jumping out to a big early lead over Colorado.
Is that still? Is it now 21-0?
27-7.
27-7. So the Buffs did score. The Buffs did get in, but it's all sorts of USC today.
Right.
We'll get things situated. A quick timeout. We'll continue on. Weekend edition here. Hail Varsity Radio at the bar, 1644 P Street. We'll dive in. More thoughts on Nebraska and Michigan here at the bar. And our road trip powered by your friends at Sauter Heyman.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right?
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thingy.
Attention shoppers. If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Get the latest updates on local weather conditions, warnings, and watches. Text WARNING to 402-258-2800 to sign up for mobile alerts via text message from KFOR Mobile Weather Alerts powered by Lincoln Electric System. Standard message and data rates may apply.
Wild Bird Habitat reminds you, with the end of summer, birds begin to migrate south while the birds that remain here are busy searching out food sources, preparing for winter. Those food sources include well-stocked backyard bird feeders. So now is a great time to put up bird feeders so you can enjoy watching the birds all winter long. Find out more from Nebraska's largest backyard bird feeding retailer, the Wild Bird Habitat stores, in the Alamo Plaza at 56 and Highway 2, or north at 4900 Dudley Street, where it's always bird feeding time.
Before I was adopted, I felt like nobody wanted me. I felt like my life was already over.
At a certain age, they don't want you. You're troubled and stuff. Even if I wanted to be adopted, who would adopt a 17-year-old?
Inside, I knew, I'm not a troubled kid. I know what I'm in for, why I'm here.
My biggest fear was that I would age out and not know how to be sufficient on my own.
I had nightmares every single day at my birth mom's house. It was just really scary for me living there.
I was scared, I was lost, and I felt hopeless.
I felt like, don't I deserve to feel happy and loved?
I just wish I'd gotten adopted sooner.
Unfortunately, the number of children waiting to be adopted from foster care is on the rise. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is the only public nonprofit charity in the U.S. focused exclusively on foster care adoption. You can help. Go to davethomasfoundation.org to learn more.
Start your next project today and get 11% off everything. Now at Menards. Add beautiful color to your projects with Minwax Wood Finish. It's a penetrating formula that delivers oil-rich color in one single coat and dries in just 2 hours. Pick up a quart of Minwax Wood Finish oil-based interior stain for only $10.99 after 11% off. Good through October 1st. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
KFOR Sports and Wellman Heating and Air want to send you to Illinois to see Nebraska take on the Illini on Friday, October 6th. Enter now and up to one time per day through October 2nd for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets and start planning your road trip to Champaign for the Friday night matchup. Thanks to Wellman Heating and Air, you could score a 4-pack of tickets to see Nebraska take on Illinois on Friday, October 6th. Enter for your chance to score the 4-pack of tickets at KFORnow.com.
Between the cost of candy, costumes, and all those decorations, who couldn't use some extra cash in October? Hail Varsity Radio is live. Now, back to Schmitty.
Schmitty's a great guy, but he don't have a brain.
And Elijah.
You want me to speak? When I point you, yeah.
On Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you here, pregame, weekend edition, Hail Varsity at the bar, 16th and P. Chris Schmidt, Mark Radak.
We got some new bumper music happening there.
The Iron Horse, Gary Sharp, is in.
Sounds like it.
Is that new, Elijah?
We're staring
It's
at
a couple weeks old. I think I threw that in the week before Minnesota. I finally got that made. So
I was kind of feeling it.
We are next to the Wall of Fame here at the bar. All sorts of famous pictures. I think Danny Burke is up here. I think Elijah Herbal's up here.
I am not. I
You're
wish I
not?
was. No.
And I think I'm right below the Cubs W flag, just across the way, caddy corner from the bar here at the bar. Our friends at Sauter Heyman helping power the road show. Big thanks to them. And Sharpie, we were talking with Mr. Dolman here last segment to get things kicked off. Cranak, good to see you, by the way. You
Good to be here.
You had to hustle on in.
I did. Man, traffic was serious. So all the talk this week about how there's not a lot of buzz for this game, I think it was just more people kind of know what's going to happen. But in terms of volume of human beings coming to this game from Omaha, it's serious.
So I left.
It's a big game atmosphere. For sure.
Mark and I are both in Omaha. So driving down here, I was on the road 10 a.m. and all three lanes were flowing right along.
Yeah.
So I agree. There hasn't been a lot of buzz because we've been through this before, and you kind of But I think once you get to kickoff at 2:30, the place will be rocking. It's Nebraska-Michigan. It's 2 of 8 teams that have won 900 games in college football. It's a good helmet game.
Can we just observe real quick that Gary has got the sunglasses on inside?
Hey, I'm
so
telling
I
you,
think we should,
it is
I think,
already.
I think we should join them.
So just
a
a little background here.
There's a glare. Do you want us to all just go Coach Prime
let's just
right
do
here?
it.
Did you bring your
The
shades?
GF son is in Phi Psi, so it's Parents Weekend.
Okay.
So I've been here for a little bit.
Okay.
They treat Parents Weekend really well. I'm glad that you guys are wearing Dion's blenders.
No, these are
very much on brand.
These are actually black flies. I'll send you a link later.
Yeah? You got a little stake in that company?
No, but I would like to.
But hey,
they're that quality.
But this is kind of cool. Where we're located here at the bar and it's starting to fill up. But all around town, like Mark was alluding to, there are a lot of Nebraska fans that are out. There's a lot of Michigan fans in town. But it's not like the angst of I hate you. It's kind of like this is great for college football. I mean, this is two iconic brands that are playing today.
Yeah.
And I don't know, do we say on any given Saturday, or would you say just keep the Saturday as engaged as possible, as long as possible?
I think if you're going to, it's how do you bet, right? Do you bet with your heart? Do you bet with your head?
You stay the hell away from
Well,
Nebraska.
I actually think both of those are the same. Because I think you know what they're up against.
Yep.
And Michigan, I've asked the question all week, and kind of to start with all three of you, is how long does it take for Michigan to be Michigan and do what Michigan does? And that's just squeeze the life out of a game, and they take over, and you might be down 7-10, but it feels like you're down 3 touchdowns. How long does that take? Because remember, Bowling Green and Rutgers were both down just a score at halftime. Yeah. Even though it didn't feel like Rutgers last weekend was had a fighting chance, they were still in it when they went into the locker room.
Yeah, 10-7, and Rutgers had a chance to have the lead going into halftime. But that's just it.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't feel proportional with Michigan because of what they do and how well they do it. And Nebraska, fellas, has preached physicality, toughness, and you've seen that as they want to be the emergent team, the toughest guy in the bar standing in the fourth quarter. Well, Michigan's great at that. They've perfected it. It's been a 9-year process, and it is a timeline ball game today. At what point does Michigan kind of get on track? Does Nebraska keep them from getting on track? And I've played a bunch of scenarios out in my head, and you look at the percentages, right? It's 2% chance Nebraska wins this. Well, how does that happen? You want to talk about long shot odds. You need a defensive score. You need a special team score. And then you also need
to avoid 3 and outs.
And some
start stacking 3 and outs.
Maybe a trick play. They have to do something like just fumble the ball away on the 10.
They've got to be like
something.
Billy Sims bad 9 fumbles today.
Yeah, the odds are stacked against Nebraska. And what I find interesting is just how similar I think that Coach Rule wants to play ball, just like Coach Harbaugh does. They're real similar. I think probably with the wrinkle of the option. And what makes Michigan so deadly today is that, they try to establish the ground game. They're not great at it, but they're good, and they're committed to it. But then it's when they go to the passing game, and it is just lethal.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking nearly 80% completion.
Well, and then J.J.
Come
McCarthy,
on.
who I worry
He's
about
good.
his legs because his legs have come into the equation, but he's also a play action monster. When they run play action, when you don't win first and second down and they run play action, he's at 94%, guys,
Yep.
and his average attempt on a target is 20 yards. So they're beating you a lot of different ways. They're not the sexy person. I mean, they just go out and they squeeze the life out of games, and actually the clock changing where it continues to run after first downs has benefited Michigan because they have the fewest in FBS plays per game, snaps. Just offense and defense, 111 snaps. Now, Nebraska isn't very far behind. Only Nebraska has 48% of their snaps are on offense. So Michigan does a good job of executing on their possessions. They know they're going to be low, and I think this is a 7-possession game on each side.
And Gary, despite the fact that Michigan runs that few plays, that few drives per game, in 4 games, they have 17 trips to the red zone.
Yep.
So they make it down the length of the field early and often in football games. And whenever you're only getting, 8 possessions a game, if you're getting 6 of those trips to the red zone, that's pretty dang good. The one thing with Michigan is in 17 trips to the red zone, 13 touchdowns, 0 field goals, just a 77% scoring percentage. Now, on the other hand, Nebraska, they have allowed points every single time the opponent has made it down to the red zone. So it's kind of what's going to break first. Is it going to be Michigan, their inefficiency in the red zone, or is it going to be Nebraska, their inefficiency in the red zone, the defense?
That's a great point, Elijah, because we all get this, and I said this right away on Monday morning, is how is Nebraska going to move the football, okay?
Yeah.
How are they going to move the football? But are you more comfortable with Nebraska scoring outside of the red zone or once they get in the red zone against that Michigan defense and it squeezes of scoring?
Now, listen to this.
They got to score big plays, right? Because
and that's kind of how Nebraska's offense has been so far.
Difficult.
Yeah.
Listen to these numbers: 3, 7, 6, 7. That's what Michigan has given up in 4 games. They have not allowed double digits.
Yeah, and only 6 trips into that red zone.
They've allowed 2 touchdowns the entire year. So when we think about how Nebraska is going to win this game with the struggles that Nebraska's had on offense, that is a ferocious defense. That's not just a good defense. Yeah. That is a excellent defense. So points, if this thing, once Michigan gets to 17, it's game over.
Yeah. Well, because
that's what it feels like.
Mark, on top of that, with the defense, 10 of those points were in garbage time. Mm-hmm. So you look at it realistically, they've allowed 13 points when the game is still in contest this year.
Yeah, and there's another thing here is, let's be honest, Nebraska's 2 games against Power 5 teams, they've scored 10 and they've scored 14.
Yeah. And if you look at what Nebraska has a chance at doing today, it's kind of like you mentioned, things have to happen off script. Best case scenario is the 20-mile-an-hour winds gust to 40 and eliminates the passing game.
While Michigan's going into it both times in the football game.
Maybe, right? But it sort of eliminates the passing game, and then it just becomes a possession brawl, and that's all it is. And then at that point, you have a fighting chance.
Yeah. But here's where I know as we break this down, and there's a lot of things that go against Nebraska, I am convinced that one area where Nebraska will be really good today, and it might just be one guy, but I think Nebraska's interior defensive line will be the best thing that happens for Nebraska. Now, Nash Hutmacher is not the most important player. I think that's a Gifford. I think that's the cornerbacks. They like to eat up the cornerbacks on their run game. So Newsome and Hartzog and those guys are going to have to play clean. But I think Gifford has a chance to have a big day. But I will tell you, I think Hutmacher is going to have a big day. And I think Nebraska, one area where they can at least hold the game steady is by working on the interior of the Michigan offensive line. They don't have the great center they had last year. They've only given up 3 sacks in 4 games, but some will say, well, if you want to poke holes, it's tough to find a hole to poke, but it might be the offensive line. Well, they're going to get their stiffest test today.
Let's flip it around and talk Nebraska's offensive line. We're here at the bar, Hail Varsity Weekend Edition. Chris Schmidt, Mark Kranak, the Iron Horse, Gary Sharp with us, and Elijah Herbal, of course, back in studio. We will rope Elijah into postgame. Real Red Reaction follows here at the bar. Bill Dolman standing by and StreamYard up for you. You can stream the show, Hail Varsity YouTube or Hail Varsity Radio, Twitter at HVarsity Radio. Sauter Heyman powering our road show today. So we talk offensive line. Is Teddy doing more than 8 snaps? Is Teddy doing more than 12 snaps? Is this the game they've ramped him up for?
Well, we all talk this. We all talk this. And so I have said this for a while. Rule gets uncomfortable when Prohaska is brought up.
You're right.
He kind of bobs and weaves a question.
Yeah.
With Teddy, it's more mental, guys, than it is physical.
Really?
And so it's a mental thing, just getting back to the comfortability of I can go out there.
Getting over his injury.
Over the series of injuries. So it's more of a mental thing and physical thing. And I think that's where Rule is almost, even though it looks bad to us because we think Teddy should play, especially for Corcoran, who is hurting himself and the team, it's a mental thing. And Rule has been pretty consistent on this. He's not going to put guys out there until they're ready, upstairs or downstairs. And in this case, it's more mental than physical with Teddy. But with that said, I wouldn't be surprised if you see his activity ramp up a little bit more today.
Well, and you talk about the offensive line, and I thought last week I was frankly a little bit surprised at the reaction to that game last week. I felt it went great. I know it was
power football.
Exactly.
You're happy run the.
Well, yeah, it's a weird conversation. You're right. Yeah. It's a weird conversation to go, man. I don't know about the offensive line, but they ran for 300 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And
sprung big ones. Right, 2 of them got called back on downfield blocks, not offensive line stuff, and so I thought the cumulative effect of committing to the run game plus mixing in some things that, frankly, not a lot of teams do, which is run their quarterback a lot, could be really effective.
Yeah,
and Nebraska right now is sitting they have the fewest passing yards in all of Power 5 football, and I'm like, hallelujah. Thank God.
Well,
I could not be happier about a statistic than I am about that statistic.
I don't want to step on your happiness. I don't want to step on your happiness. But for, like, Elijah, think about this. They've thrown the ball 83 times. There are more passing plays that have been called. They've thrown the ball 83 times for only 53%. That's not good numbers. I don't know during the course of the season if that improves, guys. Elijah, I don't know if that improves, which
kind of are what they are.
Which is kind of uncomfortable, right, Elijah?
And there's that element of Husker fans not being used to winning this way. It's been so long since Nebraska's committed to the ground attack that I do think you're going to have to get used to the fact that it's not going to be pretty with the passing attack and with the offensive line. That being said, Mark, I don't think it's good to be last in college football in anything.
I don't mind.
I think stylistically, Nebraska probably under Matt Rule is not going to be near the top of the charts in passing attack ever. While Matt Rule is here, that's not his style. It's not the style he wants to build. On the other hand, I don't think it's good to be last in college football in anything. So with that being said, I want to get Gary's take and everyone's take there on just what Heinrich Haarberg is, because we're going to find out a lot today. And you saw a lot of Husker fans. Gary talked about the fact that in your 2 Power 5 games this year, you put up 13 points, you put up 10 points, like not good enough for the Husker offense in those games. But then Husker fans will point to the fact that it's Jeff Sims at quarterback and the turnovers that we saw from Jeff Sims. I want to get your guys' thought on just what Heinrich Haarberg is, because we're going to have a much better idea at the end of the day today. But do you guys think that those poor offensive performances can just be chalked up to the fact that the quarterback was turning the football over?
I think I'll start and you guys follow. I think Haarberg is somebody that's serviceable. I'm not ready to make a determination yet on he's a Band-Aid versus a guy that can go win 7, 8, 9 ball games a year. He's had too few starts. This will be start number 3 for me to mail it in on him. Can he get better as a passer? The coaching staff seems to think so. They've let him continue to grind and work, and he's gotten reps for the first time in his career that's non-scout team, and he's improved. I don't know his ceiling. I don't think his ceiling, though, is 60%. I think his ceiling is a guy that can be a lot like T-Magic when it comes to how does he hurt you. It's through play action, but his best strength is running the football, finishing off runs, taking care of the football, and it's going to be a quarterback run first offense, and they got to be able to be threatening with the pass, but not have to rely on it. So I'm not ready to dial or toss Harburg aside on this. How does he handle today? How does he handle today where it's not going to go well for him running the option? How does he handle today where he's going to be under duress on play action? How does he handle what Michigan has in the back end with their talent, athleticism, and ability to cover when it comes to just being accurate? I think he could have a very rough day, and that's going to be okay as long as Harburg's able to bounce back next Friday. And lots of season left. This is more about the opponent versus his ceiling to me. That's where I'm at with Harburg. I think he's a guy that they can win and go bowling with. Is he a guy that is Crouch level? Is he Frost level? Is he Turner Gill level? Is he Joe Gans level? No. And I don't know that he'll be that. What can they bring in future classes?
So I think
you're right, because he's the best of what
I think
you got.
Heinrich Harburg 2023 is at his ceiling. Remember, he lost a whole year of development. And I think what he is right now is what he's going to be during the course of the season. That doesn't mean what he would look like next year when they have game experience and then they can work with him. He's got some mechanical issues in terms of throwing the football that are going to have to be worked on. I will give him full credit. Him going 100 miles an hour when he's running the football is such a huge thing for this team.
Yep.
And not every ball needs to be pitched, even though we say pitch it, pitch it, pitch it. You know what? He has a good job of reading the defense and holding the mesh point. So he is good at that spot. It's the passing. I just don't know that we're going to get to a guy that can be a really, really successful, relied upon passer. But in terms of running the football and managing the offense, getting guys in and out of the huddle, I think he's done a really good job and 0 turnovers. Today is the day, though, that those strengths are kind of neutralized. And to win this game, you're going to need to hit that big pass. But, oh, by the way, you've got iffy wide receivers and really only one true weapon, and that's your big tight end, who I think needs to have a big day, and that's Fedoni.
He doesn't have a lot of help,
to
your point. Harburg does not have a lot of help.
Harburg, to me, is a throwback to Nebraska's glory days, where he is a very effective runner, and he is an okay passer in play-action situations specifically.
Hey, isn't he Scott Frost?
Better motion.
Right. When you say Eric Crouch, I'm not saying he's as good as it, but yeah, Eric Crouch was the same way. Scott Frost was the same way.
Frost ran
Jamal
physical.
Lord was the same way. Tommy Frazier, to a degree, was the same way. Like, that's how Nebraska's
strength isn't throwing.
Yeah,
it's just that's not their thing, and that's okay.
I'm not ready.
Where you get into trouble.
I will say, I'm not ready to compare Heinrich Harburg to 2 national championship winning quarterbacks. Let's lay that out there right now. But back to you,
Elijah. Come on,
stylistically is where he's going.
Elijah, come on. You know that, that's not. You're not giving me the benefit of the doubt there, brother. Come on, like he's. I am not saying that. I'm saying in their style, in that they are good runners. They are runners first quarterbacks. They have arm strength, but do not ask them to drop back and dice up a secondary. Don't do that.
Okay.
If you don't make them do that, guess what? You're not going to get stuck from behind on a blind side because your left tackle's playing Ole. Right? You're not going to get drilled. You're not going to fumble the ball. You're not going to throw picks. Just don't call those. Be who the hell you are. And that's what they are under Harburg. Under Harburg, they are run, play action. That's it. Nothing more.
Well, and I also think here, so to help Harburg out a little bit, he's under duress. They really can't drop him back because you got a offensive line unit as a fivesome that cannot hold blocks for longer than 3 seconds. But Nebraska's wide receivers,
so quick calling drop backs.
Well, but they got to try something. So you have, and here's another problem that compounds Harburg in the passing game is you don't have wide receivers that can get off being held up at the line of scrimmage.
No.
So everything is a slow developing route.
Yep.
And so if you don't have an offensive line that can hold off pressure for more than 3 seconds, you're in a world of hurt.
Well, simply put, you have a left tackle throwing lookout blocks. And if you haven't heard that one before, that's an old coaching-ism where your left tackle, you'd be better suited just turning around and saying, look out!
Well, so let me ask this, okay? So we're talking about some takeaways today, not just literally with the Nebraska defense, but and Bill laid it out when we're asking about Nebraska, are they ready yet? And what do we know about this game? What's Nebraska going to learn? And you learn that the option is going to be a viable part moving forward of your offense. You learn that the defense, and you know that the defense is good, because I think the defense will keep Nebraska in it for a little bit. I just don't know if it's Colorado 2.0 or not in the second half. And you are in part of this transition for year one. I like your point, Gary, about the interior, Kraynak, and I like your take on just what Harburg is stylistically. As we look at Nebraska right now and we kind of figure out all of their deficiencies between getting off a press coverage, between holding blocks long enough to let play action develop, and then being accurate with the football when guys are open, what the hell do you do if you're Satterfield? Because there's been a line of people towards Satterfield, and it's been pinata time because the jury's out on Satterfield as well. What do you do if you're Satterfield and you're so limited?
Yeah, but okay,
offense?
so I know the angst towards Satterfield, and trust me, I had angst when he was hired.
Yeah.
It simply comes down to they based a lot of what they were going to do this year on that offensive line being a good pass pro unit and run blocking, but also one guy running the show that was going to be fine for you. So now they are into plan B, and they're using a quarterback that really they didn't expect to use. They thought they would have two other wide receivers. They're not here. So they're in a little bit of scramble mode. I will give Satterfield credit for this. If you go back to the game against Louisiana Tech, they tried a lot of different stuff to try and run the football. They tried a lot of different things, whether it be option, whether it be duo, whether it be personnel packages. Yes. So I give him credit for that. So I don't think we can judge Satterfield at Nebraska yet, because I don't think what Nebraska is doing right now, they want to run the football, but I don't think it's truly what they want to be. It's just what they have to be right now to try and win a football game.
Yeah, and defaults to that, right? Like alter what you're doing to exactly what you just said. It's not system over everything.
Yep.
It's
week by week.
This week,
yeah,
right? And winning this week is not going to include Harburg on a 5-step drop. That's not going to get you a win, right? That's going to, in fact, almost guaranteed loss if you play like that. But I think you nailed something, Gary, that I really appreciate about this group. And you had it under Frost, too. But it's a commitment to creativity in the run game, right? It's not just power and muscle and, run them over. It is misdirection. It is deception. It is keeping the defense on their toes. It is pairing running plays together, something that Tom Osborne was the absolute master of. Scott Frost, I think, also was very good at that. A lot of the runs that Nebraska had when they had good offensive line play, those were well blocked, nobody touching the guy, right? And that's not just being physical. That is being smart and being strategic about it. And from what I've heard, at least from Harburg, Rule, Satterfield, it seems like they're really going to school on that stuff right now.
Yep.
Like they're really trying to figure it out and not just have a token running game, but have a very diverse, tough to defend, unpredictable, variety-laden run game. And who knows? Maybe they've been holding some stuff back for today where you can break one on some sort of Michigan tendency that they've found. I don't know. But I know points are going to be hard to come by. And Nebraska's best bet is keep it on the ground, let the clock tick, punt if you have to, keep it low scoring. That's your only hope.
Hey, Schmitty Elijah, should we refer to what Kranick just said here? Bill Callahan, 2006?
USC? 2006 USC.
Yep.
Brought it up yesterday.
Right?
Yeah. Well,
and
here's why I hated that game plan, because I thought that team in 06 had a better chance when they went to USC. Now, there was a good USC team, but I didn't like that game plan of already waving the white flag or Jones talking smack before the week. But they were if you think about it, I know some won't want to hear this. The next 4 games are more important than today.
So big picture.
So get in, get out, try and get some hope, some movement, stay healthy, and get ready for a 4-game stretch that decides if you extend your season in December.
You can build confidence off it today, and they're not going to say at 10th and Vine, moral victory time. But honestly, to me, that's what you're going to get out alive, get out healthy, go toe-to-toe with Michigan, see if you can push them into the fourth quarter, and then be ready. You got to take next Friday in Champaign.
Yep.
And today will prep you for the rest of your season, because this is the best you're going to see.
The most important thing, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, is that when Nebraska wakes up 1 week from today, they're 3-3.
But hey, real quick, the USC game 06, for those not familiar, our younger listeners, Nebraska at USC in 06, it was the most vanilla play call game you've ever seen in your life. And it was literally just handoff left, handoff right, handoff left, handoff right, just trying to milk the game clock. That's what I'm saying, though, about the variety of run game. What made that approach so terrible was that there was not any variety. There was not an attempt at misdirection. There was not getting a quarterback involved. It wasn't a sophisticated ground attack. It was just, hope you don't get blown out, right? Like that was the whole approach. And I from what I've seen with this offense and under Satterfield is that, they're going to be a little more creative than that, and you might be able to catch a guy or catch a team every now and then and break a big one.
Well, if you're Bill Callahan and you purchase an entire rock, you say pound the rock, I think you got to commit to that rushing attack.
Yeah,
no,
but I just
but it just wasn't a very.
But it was like, let's get this game, let's just get it over with. Nobody gets hurt, and let's go home.
Yeah.
To be fair, that USC game is like, you're going back. That's like some of the earliest Husker memories I have. So me as a 24-year-old, you're talking to like the youngest person in Nebraska that probably still remembers the USC game.
That's why I had to reset that for you. And speaking of USC, they're up 34-14 on Prime at halftime.
It's,
so that's
it's
not
a little
bad.
ugly. Urban wants to be somewhere with a headset right now. Sharpie, we need a prediction here. Does Nebraska cover the number as we close our
17?
Got about 90 seconds here.
Okay, so you're saying 17.
That's
so
what I saw.
I've been in the range of 27-10 all week, so no. But ride the under train.
Yeah.
Michigan is 0-4.
What is the over-under?
39.
39.
Nebraska's gone under 3 of 4. That low total tells you what Vegas thinks of Nebraska's offense.
Nebraska gets 3.
But does Nebraska hit their team total? Nebraska's team total is 10.5.
Hey, Chris is asking for a line with his Modelo.
I'm asking, will Nebraska hit the team total? And he's asking for a line. It's priorities on a football Saturday. Hit the team total, 10.5.
Under.
Yeah, I'll go over on that.
Elijah?
Under.
All right.
I got 7. I got 7 points for Nebraska today.
Guys, have fun.
How do they score a touchdown, Elijah?
Anthony Grant.
Defense.
Anthony Grant. This game's made for Anthony Grant.
No, I agree. I think that Michigan is going to key heavy on the quarterback in any option or any zone read type thing. I think Anthony Grant needs to have a big game.
It's Fedoni.
And I'll add to that, I think Nebraska gets a big play
big
play to get you down into the red zone. Nebraska is able to punch it in from inside the red zone, but I think that's all they get. It's a first half touchdown.
I know, real quick here, prop bet. Harburg or Grant has more rushing yards?
Grant.
Yeah, I'd have to go Grant, too.
I'll take Grant as well.
I got him as well. That's a foursome.
Iron Horse, Gary Sharp, Mark Kradak, Bill Dolman, Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal, weekend edition of Hail Varsity. Hour 2 coming up as we're here at the bar, 16th and P.
Attorney Joe Cordell. Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
Paid for by Cordell & Cordell.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month, but you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio. Sponsored.
What is dedication?
I am the father of a 9-year-old little girl and a 6-year-old little boy. And I find fatherhood both relentlessly challenging and relentlessly rewarding. My daughter is biological and my son is adopted. I love them both so much. From the morning when you wake up to putting them to bed at night and every moment in between, it really is so special. And boy, is it exhausting. One thing that I fear about being a parent is the future for my children. I think a parent's job is to protect our children, but also prepare them for the world so they become good, kind human beings. But I'm also hopeful that the future holds a more inclusive and compassionate world for them.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the
Audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
September is National Literacy Month, a time to encourage the young people in your life to go to the library, pick up a good book, and explore new worlds. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. By getting books in the hands of kids, we can engage these young readers in their learning and help them see how school, community, and the world beyond are connected.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Coming up on a Monday on the Morning Hookup from 10 to 11, we'll have Evan Bland with the Omaha World Herald.
We'll react to Nebraska-Michigan and the NFL.
We'll also look back on the match. That and a whole lot more in the Morning Hookup from 10 to 11 right here on KFOR.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up. Do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors and veterans hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Welcome back to the Dog Show. Up next, we have Satchmo. Satchmo is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right, a group known especially for their couch-snuggling, ball-chasing, face-licking, tail-wagging, backyard-hanging, and, of course, companionship.
And what breed would you say Satchmo is?
I'd have to go with maybe a lavish terrier-hound chihuahua-looking kind of mix.
Tremendous dog.
I'd also like to point out Satchmo's coloring, a white, gray, brown, black brindle, simply marvelous.
You know, it's such a treat to watch a dog like this.
Now, let's see him in action.
Look how he makes eye contact with his person.
That's actually known as the treat stare.
How intuitive. And now he appears to be excitedly turning in circles.
Ah, the happy dance, so common with this group.
And finally, the loving face lick.
It's great how he just gets in there and, well, licks.
Fantastic. But really, the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Satchmo is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
This is your station for local news, talk, sports, and weather. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, Lincoln.
From ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. A last-minute stopgap spending bill introduced in the House with right-wing holdout members of his own party. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy will need Democratic votes to get it passed. But Democrats were given just 25 minutes to review a 71-page bill and make a decision. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries on the floor today delivering a speech to stall that bill.
We need a little time to evaluate whether you are trying to slash public school funding. Why are we concerned about whether the Republican majority is trying to slash public school funding? Because you put forth a bill that did just that.
And is there a pay raise for Congress tucked somewhere in that bill? Georgia Republican Austin Scott.
You heard my colleague from Connecticut tell you that the Republican bill has a pay raise for members of Congress. It's simply not true.
The United Auto Workers strike has so far had little impact on car shoppers, but if the walkout drags on through October, industry analysts say we could see higher prices for both new and used cars. More from ABC News correspondent Alexis Christophers.
Another 7,000 United Auto Workers walked off the job Friday, bringing the total number on picket lines to 25,000. The strike now expanded to 2 more plants, a Ford plant in Chicago that builds the Explorer and Lincoln Aviator, and GM's Lansing Delta plant, which assembles the Buick Enclave and Chevy Traverse. The UAW says Stellantis was spared this time, citing progress in talks with the parent of Chrysler. This is the second escalation of strikes that began on September 15th.
New York City drying out after one of the wettest days in history. Governor Kathy Hochul.
This event was historic. In some areas, it was record-shattering. And it is the most rain ever recorded in a single day at a place like JFK, ever.
8.65 inches of rain there. You're listening to ABC News.
Ron had a tax problem he just couldn't handle on his own.
I owed the IRS taxes for over 5 years, but I didn't have any money to pay the taxes.
Those years cost him dearly.
Most of it was fees and interest. It was horrible.
Ron finally called in the pros.
I called Optima Tax Relief, and boy, am I happy I did.
The leading tax resolution firm, Optima, is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. They've resolved over $1 billion for their clients. Ron was overjoyed.
They settled my account with IRS. I was ecstatic. They are a lifesaver. They are. I am so happy.
Take Ron's advice and call Optima now for a free consultation.
Yeah, don't do like I did and wait. Call Optima Tax Relief. Do it now. You'll be ecstatic like me.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
An arrest was announced in the murder of Tupac Shakur this week, nearly 3 decades after the rapper was gunned down in Las Vegas. The biggest factor, a tell-all written by the last living witness to the fatal drive-by that appears to incriminate the author, Dwayne Davis. And authorities say retaliation was the motive in the coordinated drive-by because of a fight that Shakur had with the suspect's nephew. ABC legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer says it all came out because of details in that book.
I think, the main thing is that memoir. He opened his mouth and gave so much of an explanation that allowed law enforcement to go through the breadcrumbs of, okay, we know where you were in the car. We know who the other people in the car. We know even who supplied the weapon.
Friday, near the intersection in Las Vegas where the iconic rapper was killed, many paying their respects, among them Fred Adamson from Boston.
You took away somebody very important, an icon, a legend, a father, a son. Like, it's about time that, they caught the person.
Overseas, 6 people have died, 15 others trapped after state media say a mine shaft collapsed in Zimbabwe. Rescue efforts underway. Power blackouts in Cuba are expected to increase significantly, say officials there, due to a lack of fuel. France's highest administrative authority held a landmark hearing Friday over accusations of systemic discrimination in identity checks by French police. Victims not seeking money, but a ruling to force deep reforms within law enforcement to end racial profiling. This is ABC News.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
Dave Packer, ABC News.
I'm Jeff Bright. Nebraska's new law restricting gender-affirming care for minors goes into effect Sunday and bans gender-affirming surgery for anyone under 19 and restricts who in that age group can receive non-surgical treatment. Last month, Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen issued an executive order strictly defining a person's sex and ordering state agencies to define female and male as a person's sex assigned at birth. Governor Pillen announced Friday that in accordance with the request from the White House, both U.S. and Nebraska flags are to be flown at half staff in honor of California U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein, who died yesterday at the age of 90. This is effective immediately and will last until sunset on the day of Feinstein's internment. And in high school football Friday night, Lincoln Southeast defeated Lincoln Southwest 30-14 in a game heard.
The voice of Husker Nation is on the air. This is Hail Varsity Radio. Insight, opinion, expertise, along with the biggest names talking Nebraska sports. Join in with the show at 402-489-1240 or 1-800-825-5865. Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbal.
Back with you, the weekend edition trudges forward. It's like one of those vintage Nebraska drives. We're into hour 2. Here at the bar, 16th and P, the bar. You're invited out ahead of kickoff and, of course, to revel in or maybe cry in a beer later with Michigan coming to town. Chris Schmidt, Mark Quainak, Bill Dolman, Elijah Herbal, and from his football office, the sanctuary with Counter Reed, Brandon Vogel joins us. Head Brandon L. Vogel. Big thanks to Gary Sharp for popping by in hour 1. Big thanks to our friends at Sauter Heyman for powering this road show, and our friends at the bar. They have brought Lazari's Pizza down. It's incredible. And I asked for a beer. Okay, I asked for a beer. That was Seth over my shoulder. Seth and Greg, they've had Lazari's in the bar for a number of years. We love them dearly. I asked him for a lime, Quainak and Bill.
Yeah.
And he kind of gave me this John Belushi type eyebrow raise. And I needed it for my Modelo before I just get you're high maintenance. No, I like lime in my Mexican beer. It's awesome. Well, homeboy had to go get a case. Comes walking through the side door with a case of lime. But I have my lime wedge. Brandon Vogel is with us. Vogues, yay or nay when it comes to lime in your Mexican beer?
Well, yay, but I would never make somebody prep an entire bar cube of limes just for me. So you tried to head off the high maintenance thing, Schmitty, but denied.
No, they were out. They were out of lime, so we had to go get them anyway.
Okay. Well, as long as they were going to have to do it anyway, I suppose it's okay.
That's pretty funny. Vogues, Saturday's here, bud. Number 2, Michigan's in, and we've talked about the timeline of this ball game. Not only where Nebraska's at into Game 5, what Michigan is coming off. Really this is year 3 of kind of a pinnacle of what they've become under this Harbaugh plan, but how long can you stay in the ring if you're Nebraska? And I know you've thought about that a lot this week.
Yeah, I have. I think the key number for Nebraska in the first half is 5. Every 5-play drive from Nebraska, and there might only be 5 drives total between the two teams. This might be Minnesota part 2. I would consider a win because it means 1, you didn't go 3 and out, so that means you got at least 1 first down. 2, it might mean you scored in 5 plays, which, hey, that'd be great. But it seems, Nebraska has shown some big playability, particularly with the quarterback run game. So that's intriguing. But 3, and, you don't want to say this, but if it's a 5-play drive that ends in a turnover, unless it's a pick 6, well, at least you got that first down. Or a second first down. So, really, that's kind of the building blocks of this game. And it's why I think Nebraska, assuming the defense, which, Colorado offensively is good. Michigan offensively is good. Debate if you want which one is better, but this is the best team front to back that Nebraska has played. So we're going to find out if that defense can hold up to the degree that it has, because so far it's been pretty excellent. And Brandon, some new questions emerging today surrounding that Husker defense. This coming out about half an hour ago. Luke Reimer and Cam Linhart both out for this game against Michigan. They're not going to be in action. What does that mean to you whenever you look at what this Husker defense faces in Michigan? Yeah, I mean, you're facing the number 2 team in the country without what I think is their best player in Reimer. Um, we've seen what Linhart can do early on in his, still very young career, but they played without him before. Like it's one of those things where the sum of the parts have to, or the whole piece, the whole picture. Nebraska defensively, you got to be able to withstand some of those things, and you're gonna, miss a couple of plays that, a player like Reimer probably just would make. If they happen to be a missed tackle that goes for a 65-yard rushing touchdown, then yeah, it becomes pretty apparent. But I think one of the good things about Nebraska so far defensively is that it hasn't been a defensive performance dominated by a handful of guys. It really is kind of they're doing this as a team defense, which I know can be a cliche, but when I watch the games, like it jumps out to me each week, and I've seen it 4 weeks now.
Brandon Vogel is with us on the weekend edition of Hail Varsity. Excuse me. Brandon, you mentioned Reimer. So less Reimer means more who?
I mean,
who do we see? Who's taking those snaps from me? Is that
Ernest Hausman
Gabor and yeah, who is?
I mean, yeah. If Ernest Hausman wants to swap blue for red for a game,
that would be great.
He knows where everything is. I mean, it's probably going to fall to Henrich for the most part, and that's okay. He's played a lot of football too, and then you kind of got to knock that down the line to just kind of mix and match, I think, which is what Nebraska has really been doing at those linebacker spots, minus kind of, well, Luke certainly and Nick as well. So I think like I said, it's always hard to tell like when you're going to notice, that's a play that Reimer would have made, but it's the plays that you may not notice that kind of add up that you have to consider too. So it's a tough break for Nebraska, but at the end, what are you going to do? Like I said, I think team-wise, they played enough players defensively that it's not like, well, there's a gaping hole in the boat now, and we're taking on water before the game even starts.
And I think the bigger concern,
real quick, on the depth chart, it's Javen Wright, or is it Javin or Javen? Do we know yet?
Buddha's played well.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
on
done
the depth chart. So that probably means a little bit more of him today. But sorry, continue, Elijah.
I think the bigger question, less than who fills in at Reimer, I think you have a couple of options there. And Nash Hutmacher's been doing a really good job keeping the offensive guards off of the linebackers this year. I think those guys are going to be free to make some plays. I think Linhart might be the bigger loss, despite the fact that I think Reimer is the better player, because I look at what Nebraska has at defensive ends. It's going to leave a lot of pressure on guys like Gunnarsson, Kai Wallen, Riley Van Poppel, guys that haven't seen a lot of football. I know Linhart's a freshman, but he's impressed whenever he's come in. And now I worry about what Michigan's going to try to do with that off-tackle running, because they have a couple of big tackles that love run blocking. And I worry that Nebraska's going to have the size and the depth of that defensive end spot to be able to hold up against that. And then you start worrying about needing to roll a safety down into the box or having your safeties play downhill, which opens up what J.J. McCarthy loves to do on play action.
Those are all real concerns. I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head. Michigan's starting right tackle is listed as questionable, so we'll see if he ends up going. But
that was the Stanford transfer.
Yep. And Michigan's got great depth. Jim Harbaugh since 2021 has really built a really strong program that plays football in a way that had the USC Colorado game on. And boy, is that going to be different from what I think we're about to see here in an hour or so. And it's credit to Jim Harbaugh on that. So, and again, it's just questionable. So they'll probably try and give him a go. But yeah, Nebraska, it's rotated guys in anyway up front defensively, but that depth it's just not quite there yet. So you do worry about that. Michigan's had, the Joe Moore award-winning offensive line the past 2 seasons as the top O-line in the country. It was always going to be a big ask, and it would be nice to have somebody who's as dynamic as what we've seen from Linhart.
Brandon, I would agree that the defensive depth is not necessarily there, but at least we know the names of those who will be in there. I mean, if you go back 2 weeks when Matt Rule came to the press conference and said Gabe Ervin and Ramir Johnson are both out for the rest of the season, people were diving deep into the Nebraska depth charts and media guides and trying to figure out, well, who's next, right? And that's right. Emmett Johnson is still in the program, and who's the guy that they recruited from Connecticut? At least we know. Okay, well, Riley Van Poppel's played. AJ Rollins has played. We know that Gunnarsson and Hutmaker have all been very serviceable. So there are names that have already gotten some seasoning, as opposed to the situation that we saw 2 weeks ago play out at running back, which they're still trying to figure out what to do. So I think that they may be a little bit more comfortable when they say, well, Cam Linehart can't go again. But, AJ, now it's time to prove yourself. And Riley Van Poppel and all those guys. And Javin Wright, if it's not going to be Luke Reimer today, maybe they should get JoJo Doman back. Does he have any? Because that's a perfect game for him right now. But
JoJo
was around forever.
Would be incredible in this defense.
Right. But at least we know who that we will rely on today, as opposed to trying to do a deep dive and remember who's around.
Yeah, and that is an early departure from what we had seen previously at Nebraska. And, it helps a little bit now, when you lose a Reimer and a Linhart. And, this is the first year we've had official injury reports out from the Big Ten, which is a nice feature. I appreciate that. But it's going to benefit Nebraska, obviously, sort of an obvious point, but benefit Nebraska down the road. It kind of gets, we can mention it here, but at the end of the year, we're going to look at this and look at how many guys played and realize that they're really setting the stage, I think, for things that are to come. That said, I look at this game, and Michigan's, very good. Not saying that they're not, but I think Nebraska kind of has put themselves in a position to have a shot. If things, turnovers and explosive plays always have a way to really swing games and make them look out of the ordinary. But if things play pretty straight up, I expect Nebraska to get its punches in. I really do.
Yeah, so that's an interesting comment there, Brandon, if you just look at the rankings and the records and the stats and all those things. But what does make you say that, I guess, with, Nebraska clearly being a 17-point dog? Is it a style thing? Or what makes you think that Nebraska has a decent shot today?
Mostly style, and I think what the preferred kind of game state is for both of them. Michigan's only averaging 9 drives a game when you take out kneel downs into half drives, and they haven't been in a close game, so those things haven't mattered at the end of games. 9 drives, Nebraska's averaging 11. So, we'll go back to the key number of 5 for 5-play drives are kind of my marker of success for Nebraska on offense. Let's say there are 5 drives. If Michigan gets 3 of them, if they score touchdowns on all 3, you're up 21-0, 21-7, probably. Okay, that's Michigan in control, but they got to score touchdowns on all 3 drives. I mean, there's just not going to be a ton of opportunities here for a 17-point spread. Michigan basically, assuming Nebraska scores some points. Now, if they get shut out, it's a different equation. But Michigan has to be pretty perfect on offense, and unless they're going to do that via the big play, don't you like Nebraska's defensive chances based on what we've seen so far? And I'm not implying you don't, Mark. I'm just rhetorically. Don't you like Nebraska's defensive chances on defense to get a couple of stops? They get 2 stops in the first half. This is a game at halftime. And that was one of my keys for the week is be within a touchdown at halftime. You're at home. You're facing the number 2 team in the country. And let's see what happens from there.
Brandon Vogel with us from Counter Read. Can find Vogue's and Aaron Sorensen's tremendous work, counterread.com. Follow him on Twitter at Brandon L. Vogel. Our dear friend Julie to my left is we're moving out of the line of fire as some Husker fans are going to play some darts here at the bar before we get ready for kickoff. And
Well, the guy said that we won't miss on purpose.
I don't know how many slinkies they've had is the question. And you got to aim for that middle dartboard, Cranack.
Hey, let me follow up on what Brandon just said. If the game was close at half, I think this Nebraska football team is so much different than the one we've seen the last 2 seasons, where they might even lead at halftime, but you would see them come out of the locker room for the third quarter, and they just had this air about them that they were going to lose it. Yeah. And I don't get the sense that this team would come out of the locker room if it's close thinking we don't have a chance.
Yeah.
I think if they think they have it, they believe it. Yeah. I can think about the Illinois game and the Minnesota game where it's like they just came out flat and they were ahead and they played well for 30 minutes, but they just thought we're not going to get it done.
Something's going to go wrong.
Yeah, I don't think this team believes that, has that mentality.
Bogues,
I don't think they have that mentality either. And in terms of results, like the numbers for Nebraska, the first and second half splits on offense are almost unbelievable. 64th in rushing on a yards per carry basis, 4th in the second half nationally. Their explosive play rate doubles in the second half. And, some of that might just be a little early season, like 12 games for college football season is a small sample size. We've only got 4. But so far it's been, that Minnesota game it becomes more telling, I think, in that regard as we go on, because you have that interception, you have this big opportunity to tie that game or to take the lead in that game right before half and get the ball back coming out. Well, you throw an unforgivable interception in the end zone. Previous Nebraska teams would have been sunk at that point. I really think so. This one came out, went down the field, took the lead, basically controlled the entire second half until turnovers did them in again. So made some progress, still haven't eliminated that turnover piece of it.
Bogues, I want to get your thought before we get you out. And what do you expect from the Nebraska offense and Harburg? I mean, what's real and what's extraordinary and what is somewhere in between? What can they do against this Michigan D?
He's carried 20 plus times in both games so far. So that's probably a pretty good place to start, which seems like a unsustainable number, but it worked against 2 G5 opponents. Now let's see what happens against a top five opponent. I think it's important for Nebraska, and we've seen them try this a little bit, and even saw them had some success with it against Colorado. Like, everyone knows Nebraska is one of the run heaviest teams in the country, but we've seen them occasionally try to throw a little bit on first down. I think that's important against a defense like Michigan. This Michigan defense is excellent in terms of most of the categories you look at. They have given up a handful of big plays, more than you'd expect, against the schedule that, we're all well aware of. They haven't been challenged a ton to this point. So you might go, if you're Nebraska with Harburg and you think you can scheme some things, particularly early on, I wouldn't be surprised to see him throw a little bit on first down and try and hit some stuff. I'm not talking about like 75-yard touchdown out of the gates. You'll take it. But 16, 17, 18-yard gain, and we've seen a handful of those. The Colorado game started that way. So I would expect them to have something similar there, but for the most part, they're going to keep this on the ground. You might see a little bit more option, I think, and just find out if Michigan's ready to defend it. They probably will be, and even if they're not totally ready, they're a lot faster, bigger, and stronger than Louisiana Tech or Northern Illinois.
Brandon Vogel with us here, a Saturday pregame edition, Nebraska-Michigan, getting you geared up as we're only about an hour away from kickoff. And Brandon, reports from down at the stadium, Dylan Raiola is on site today. Can he suit up?
Georgia might take exception with that.
Really? Okay.
Dylan is there along with Dayton and along with Dominic.
Yeah, Dayton's visiting. I saw the tweet from Old Man Dom this morning that Dayton was going. I didn't know that Dylan rolled by.
Yeah, Dylan is still taking pictures with Husker fans, so good for him. I've seen some pictures on Twitter.
Well, he's transferring back here in 2026. We already know that.
Thanks to the project.
Yeah.
Georgia Auburn, that's a 3:30 game, right? Clean old fashioned hate. He's not even watching the Dogs. I think he's cutting. I think it's done.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
Oh my gosh. Good. The Dylan Raiola watch. Good.
Dayton.
Part 2.
Dayton.
No. The Dylan. Part 2.
There's a good chance Matt Rule will be able to talk to him post game and see that offense. Son, you can suit up tomorrow.
Son, we want you.
Yeah, I get the Dayton thing. Let's just throw it out there. Part 2. Do.
It ain't over.
Look at Crane.
It ain't over.
Well, where they flipped the kid from Papillion the other day, right?
Yeah, exactly. Ingerson, which, by the way, the kid of the guy, I believe it's Eric Ingerson. I went to high school with his dad. His dad
Does
was
his father speak to you?
His father. It's not like we're friends or anything. He's a couple years older. His name was Mike Ingerson, and he was a horse. I mean, the dude was seriously. He was like starting tight end like 3 or 4 years in a row. He was probably 6'3", 220-ish.
Or a tank top, benched.
Buzz cut, just nobody messed with him, man. Tight end and defensive end, and then he ended up playing, I believe, at Northwest Missouri State. So he cut. I can confirm that the younger Ingerson comes from stock, and he apparently sounds like he's bigger and faster.
Did that flip not make you a little bit worried about the Carter Nelson recruitment? Just a little bit?
No.
Because Nebraska produces like 48 tight ends a year now, and it's just like whatever.
If you're Carter
if you can
Nelson,
get a couple of them, cool.
If you're Carter Nelson and you're watching the Nebraska offense, you're like, it's a little fuzzy. Oh, wait a minute. Tight end could score in 3 straight games. So
all I'm saying is, does that not make you a little worried that the Husker coaching staff maybe is hedging their bets there a little bit? I'm wondering what's going on behind the snes in the Nelson recruitment.
I think they want 3 tight ends in the offense like you're going to see from Michigan today.
Yeah, no, I think it's because you play a lot of tight ends.
You've also talked about that kid's size of like 6'7", 250 or more and growing, that he may not be a tight end for the future, that there may be more of a spot along the offensive line for the Ingerson kid.
Or the defensive line. We saw that with A.J. Rollins already.
But he is a big, big dude, right? So I think that they got him for multiple reasons, and I think look, Mom and Dad are going to tell Carter, we have it in the budget that we're only going to drive to Lincoln. We're not flying, okay? And Dad can't go to games if you're going to go someplace else. So Lincoln is convenient for the Nelson family. I said that. I thought that was a key to his recruitment way back when. And they even said that. It's easier for my parents to go watch me play. Nebraska's not moving any closer to Georgia last I saw.
Brandon Vogel with us, Counter Read. Vogues, tell the folks about Counter Read and all the awesome insight that you and Aaron provide each week. Tell folks where to sign up. And then what are you cooking or smoking today?
Yeah, you can sign up at counterread.com. It's a twice weekly newsletter for subscribers. Do a couple of extra things each week too to let everybody take a look. But one of those things is Thursday game preview each week during football season, which I really enjoy doing. Try to take a little bit of a different approach to doing that. So you can sign up, you can check it out. You can sign up as a free subscriber and see what you think. And then of course, we're very happy to have the support of our paid subscribers as well. So you can check all the stuff out there. We're doing about 4 or 5 posts a week. So that's what it's looking like. In terms of the kitchen corner at this point, going with chili today. It was kind of everything in the pantry, everything in the pantry type of chili. But using the pressure cooker for the first time. Gonna see if we can shorten the chili taste better the next day factor. See if we can eliminate that by putting it under a little bit of pressure.
So real quick on that. So a Tex-Mex style, like the beans and the ground beef sort of base. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. So you just entered my world. I defer to you on all other
on O's Street.
Yeah, all other cooking techniques, all other recipes. I defer to you. I'm just going to suggest a couple things if you have them. Lemon pepper, not just for fish and chicken. Refried, if you got them, for one of the beans. Thickener.
Cocaine.
Enchilada sauce.
Well, we talked last week. I'm a big enchilada fan, so that's going to happen on the next batch.
Or in a can.
You guys do realize it's 90 degrees outside, and nobody makes chili when it's above 50.
Well, that's a great point. I think
I'm pro chili.
Yeah.
It's 90 degrees outside.
I mean, I think it's still acceptable.
It's Tex-Mex. It's 90 degrees in Texas every day.
Yeah,
that's right.
Touche.
Great. How many world championships of O Street do you have?
I just got the one at O'Rourke's, and then I got.
You placed though at a couple of different
but
spots.
I have 2 other championships. I've entered 4 things. I've won 3. I'm not saying that I'm the best chili guy in the world. I'm just saying I have a 75% championship percentage. That's all I'm saying. Kind of speaks for itself. At that point.
It really does.
Sauce,
It really does.
Pepper. What else? Oh, refried.
Refried.
Okay.
There's a bunch of other things too, but those are kind of some differentiators. If you want a thicker chili, right, get some refried in there. Want some zest, get some lemon pepper, and then you want that just Mexican enchilada sauce.
I have gone over to Casa de Cranax, and I have witnessed the chili tornado, where your kitchen is just you're about a day or so removed from making your world famous chili.
It's
where there's remnants of that.
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
it's usually like 30 plus ingredients.
I know.
Yeah.
And if you'd like more information on this, it'll be on the director's cut of today's show.
I always got to ask Vogel because he's doing short ribs or something awesome.
Counterread.com/chili.
We don't have a chili correspondent yet.
I'm just trying to see if I can maybe,
we will
jump in there.
We'll get a T-shirt ready. At Brandon L. Vogel on Twitter. Counter Read, I about said Chili Read. Counterread.com. Vogues, enjoy your football, buddy. Thanks for coming on and talking football and chili with us.
You too, guys. Thanks.
Yeah.
There he is, Brendan Vogel. We're here at the bar, 16th and P. Weekend edition rolls forward. We'll have a rewind coming up of Blake Corum. You'll be watching or listening to him today do some things at Michigan. Incredible back. We'll have some final thoughts prediction-wise, or maybe some things to watch for. That's Mark Cranack, Bill Goldman, Elijah Herbal, Chris Schmidt, and we're here at 16th and P. The bar. Real Red Reaction follows immediately after Nebraska-Michigan. We'll be here at the bar for that. If Nebraska pulls off the impossible, if Nebraska puts up a good fight, or if Michigan does what Michigan's done to so many. We'll be here at the bar for it. Our friends at Sauter Heyman powering this roadshow. A quick timeout. Some more thoughts on the way with Hail Varsity Weekend.
I feel like I'm constantly cleaning hair off my bathroom floor. At least my Swiffer Sweeper makes it easy. Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths have ultra-thick pads to trap and lock hairs, like a hair magnet. And when I'm finished cleaning up my hair, Sweeper takes care of his too. Now the hair's gone, all thanks to Swiffer. Try Swiffer Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths. I promise you'll love them or your money back. And also try Swiffer Sweeper Wet to make quick work of tough, sticky messes.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Olivia from Washington. laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed. Oh, yeah? Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you, Hail Varsity Weekend Edition. We're here at the bar, 16th and P. The bar, having us here for the Weekend Edition pregame. We're back here for a real red reaction following Nebraska-Michigan. And we appreciate you tuning in. Chris Schmid, Mark Kranak, Elijah Herbal, Billy D. Brad Fairbury, Bill Dolman off to the stadium. Gary Sharp off to the stadium. Brandon Vogel is diving into Chile. And we didn't ask Vogues about marbling.
No, we did not. Yeah, I heard you gentlemen talking about golden retrievers earlier this week on the Hail Varsity
Let's not go
show.
there.
And
We were talking. I was going to get my wife, since it was our anniversary, a third dog.
right. And I was just wondering about the marbling of said dog, if it came down to it and you had to consume one. Because on last week's show, we established that bulldogs, that's probably a good, like if you have to eat a dog, might not be a bad one, just for the richness, the fat content, right? The general tenderness that could lead to if prepared properly. So
just add some lemon pepper, right?
And some enchilada sauce.
And if you want to thicken it up, throw in some refried. Yeah.
That's funny. Hey, if you have Eddie Murphy party all the time on the bingo card for part of your pregame hits, put that bingo square down.
It is definitely playing right now. Eddie Murphy,
and Rick James.
Yeah, I thought this might have been the start of his music career, but it was kind of the start and the end.
Yeah, but it
out.
still found its way to the top 10. But it was a one and done. And Eddie Murphy's music career in Colorado football seemed to be shaking hands today.
Let's see, where is Colorado? Oh, they're down 41-21 right now.
That was my final
to
score,
USC.
but they're pushing right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that one was a perfect storm. I still believe after watching that game that I don't view Colorado as
good
better than Nebraska. I really don't. I think if you played that game 10 times, Nebraska would probably win more of them.
Mm-hmm.
If
they had to do over again.
Yeah, if they don't turn it over a bunch, right? But I think that's all that happened there, and then they wore down second half.
That's my concern. I think the defense can play hard, can play well, but I'm concerned about what they're going to be asked to do. wrap it up with that. And again, rewind coming up. Blake Corum, our sit down with me and Elijah. Got a chance to talk to Blake Corum from Michigan at Media Days. Great dude. He'll get into the atmosphere he remembers about Lincoln 2 years ago. There was so much hope and excitement as Nebraska came in 2 years ago, 3-3, and it was a turn the corner moment. That's not what today is. But it is about, all right, where are you at this season? Now you're into game 5. Fellas, I think Nebraska's kind of where they're at offensively, and they'll make do with what they got. Back to the chili ingredients. Nebraska is working with some bland ingredients right now to try and beef up that bowl of chili.
Yeah, and that's the thing is if you look at Nebraska versus Michigan, you can talk about all the mental states and how you call the plays and those things all you want, but Michigan's got way better players and they're way better coached, and that's kind of it, right? So Nebraska could actually play a perfect game and still lose today.
Well, here's the thing:
right? They could not turn it over. They could rush for 250 and still lose.
If we're using the chili analogy, Michigan is making their chili with tomatoes fresh from the garden. They went and got fresh beef from a local market.
They've got a greenhouse, Elijah.
It's all fresh ingredients. It's fantastic. And Nebraska's working with store-bought canned tomatoes, some frozen ground beef, vegetables that were freeze-dried before. But here's the thing. You can still make a winning chili recipe with that. Is it going to beat the homemade one?
Salt and pepper.
Not necessarily, but if you have the right cook cooking, and I think Nebraska has the right cook in Matt Rule, and we'll see what Marcus Satterfield does as that advisory role, kind of the backseat cooking. They're in the kitchen
chef.
too, and preparing all the vegetables and whatnot. We'll see what he can do there, but you can still make a chili that tastes pretty dang good. Is it going to beat the one made with the top line ingredients? No, probably not. But hey, if the chef on the other end has an off day whenever he's preparing those top line ingredients, you can still screw that chili up and give the other chili a chance. So I think that's a decent chili analogy. It's not my best work, but I think it works on a day like today. You can make a good taste in chili. Doesn't mean it's going to win, but you can still make a good taste in chili with some poor ingredients.
Well, Nebraska's working with salt and pepper. That's the defense.
Yep.
Right? And that is the run game.
Yep.
I mean, that's the basics right now for Nebraska. And what do you guys anticipate the atmosphere being like? Elijah, you're going down here in a little bit. Kranak, you're going with family, and that'll be awesome. I'm venturing down as well, and I think the buzz most of this week will not equal the juice once things get going, especially if there's something big that happens in Nebraska's favor the first 5 minutes.
When those helmets and uniforms come out on the field from Michigan, it stirs things up, right? It'll stir up the fan base. I think it'll be a very energetic fan base today. You got winds out of the south, southwest, 20 to 25 miles an hour, so right out of the south end zone. And you have 94 some degrees. So I think there's going to be some factors that maybe aren't typical of games that maybe help balance things a little bit more in Nebraska's favor. And if that's the case, I think Nebraska fans will stay in it because it doesn't seem like Michigan is the type of team to just commence with a blowout right when the first whistle blows.
And it's not that they aren't good at big plays, but I'm watching USC where they are just carving up Colorado with simple dig routes, crossing patterns, and then deep. I mean, Michigan has the ability with some wheel routes and their tight end play to get deep. Corum can take it to the house because of his talent level as well. But Michigan's more methodical.
Yeah.
And Nebraska's been pretty good against the big play. It kind of fell down a little bit against Colorado. Yes, sir.
I'm not sure you can hear it because the environment of our. You just ran right through the bed. We're actually need to get out here if we have time for Corum.
Okay. I am so sorry. I didn't hear. It's loud. We're at the bar. Big thanks to the bar for having us out here. Big thanks to Sauter Heyman for putting us out here. Blake Corum on the way. Kickoff. Real Red reaction from the bar afterwards here on KFOR.
Husker fans, it's time to get real. Whatever is needed following each Husker football game with the Real Red Reaction Show. Immediately after each game, we go live for your unbridled opinions on KFOR and on the KFOR Facebook page.
Heart failure, carpal tunnel syndrome, shortness of breath, stomach issues, lower back pain. How does it all add up? If you have heart failure and any of those seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, it's time to talk with your cardiologist and get the full picture. They may add up to transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy. ATTR-CM is a rare and underdiagnosed disease. Recognize the signs and discuss them with your doctor soon. Learn more at connectwithyourheart.com. That's connectwithyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
At Alpha Media, we are here to help you meet your future alumni with Alpha EDU. With our audience-first approach, it allows us to identify your educational institution's diverse cohorts. We are not guessing where they are. We know, utilizing multiple platforms along with unique strategies to obtain first-party data. We provide valuable impressions to your exact future students. Our omni-channel approach allows you to reach aspiring students throughout the application to student journey. Our Alpha EDU strategy uses your list of feeder high schools and collects the device IDs of not only the students, but of those who influence their decisions. This list is then uploaded into major platforms to connect your message directly to them at the right time. With our multiple strategy approach, we can reach any potential student you are looking for. Alpha Media wants to provide an easy partnership from campaign development and optimization to
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back into it, Hail Varsity Radio. Big Ten Media Days here in Indy, Lucas Oil Stadium. Little Michigan blue and, well, Colts blue. Blake Corum with us, standout running back from Michigan. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm blessed, man. I'm feeling great.
Well, hey, it's been a fun day. It's been a fun couple of days catching up, and I know you've between workouts found your way to do media, so that's awesome. And I want to talk a little bit about where Michigan football's at right now. Back-to-back playoff appearances, back-to-back Big Ten championships, and tell me a little bit about the Michigan culture and pretty much the toughness of the team, because you guys really get downhill on about everybody on offense.
Yeah, man, smash mouth.
Yeah,
that's the way we put it. We want to go into every game and show each and every team that we can beat you. We can beat you our way. We're not going to beat you your way. We're going to beat you the way we want to beat you. And, whether that be up front with our great offensive line, running the ball, 30, 40 times a game, or we can throw it. But, where we're at right now, we're at a good spot. No one's complacent. Everyone's getting ready for camp. Everyone's had a great summer. And, I really like where this team's at right now.
So it's fair to say you're still hungry, and you guys have been so close to getting to the championship game.
100%. We've gotten so close back-to-back years that, now it's like you can taste it, but, you want to bite, So, we're hungry. Like I said, we're not complacent at all. We're putting in the work, if anything, more than ever,
Like, I'm sure the end of last season has to be bittersweet for you. Such a great season derailed by injury at the end. And I kind of put the world on notice to what you had with Donovan Edwards and your backfield tandem partner. Tell me a little about him and what makes you guys such a good pairing in that Michigan backfield.
Yeah, he's a special player, man. He's a great running back, great person to play with. We complement each other really well. He does some things I might not do so well. I do some things he might do so well. So we complement each other, and he's a great receiver. If he wanted to, he could go play receiver. But he's electric. He can do it all, honestly. And so, it's great sharing a backfield with such another great running back like Donovan himself. It's amazing.
And that competition brings out the best in both of you, I would assume. I'm interested to get to the teammate part. You guys support one another, fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And with that, was that an adjustment? Is it an adjustment having to share carries?
Not at all. For us, we want to see each other do great things.
Mm-hmm.
And the way, Coach Hart has our running back room, it's no one's selfish. Selfish players, and really just Coach Harbaugh in general, selfish players can't play at Michigan. If you're a me guy or an I guy, you can't play here. It's all about the team, and that goes back to back in the day, the team, and we preach that, and, we live by that, and so for Donovan and I, we sharpen each other. When one's in, we root each other on. When I'm in, he roots me on, and when we're in together, it's dynamite, so, it's great playing in the same backfield with Donovan.
Tell me about the preparation you guys get with practice, and you mentioned sharpening. You go up against that Michigan defense. It's been also very fierce. Great complementary football, tough offense, tough defense. What's the defense do for you as you guys get ready?
We show each other great things. We call it good on good. And that's how you get better. They'll say we play ECU first game. They'll run ECU's defense the once. And we'll run our offense, and vice versa. That's how you get better. That's what I like about, Michigan football is because, we're going to do good on good at practice. We're not trying to, savor everyone for just the game. We're going to get better.
Blake Corums with us, couple of minutes. It's Hail Varsity Radio, Big Ten Media Days. Michigan, the favorite. Michigan trying to get back for a third straight playoff appearance and a third straight Big Ten title. I want to go back a couple of years and talk Nebraska-Michigan. Nebraska does it right for night games, and what a shootout! Michigan able to win another tight ball game.
Oh, that was an electric game. I didn't know what to expect.
What did you think going in?
I walked in when no fans were in there. I'm like, man, this is a nice stadium.
It blocks the sun.
Nice and high. Great environment too. Nebraska is a beautiful state, but then the fans started coming in. The lights went down. I'm like, dude, we can't hear nothing. We couldn't even. We had to go off a silent count, and it was good, man. The environment was awesome. The fans were great people. I can't wait to get back to Nebraska and play a good ball game.
Blake, really fast, there's a moment in that game. I've been waiting to ask a Michigan player about this for damn near 2 years. There's a light show at the end of the third quarter for night games at Memorial Stadium. Thunderstruck starts playing. They got flame cannons down on the field. And Michigan did something unique in that game. They all came out into the field themselves and partied with the fans as it was going to the fourth quarter. I hadn't seen another team do that, but you guys did. I think it kind of showed what made you guys so special that year. Take me into that moment. What, as a team, led you guys to have enough confidence in a tight ball game going into the fourth quarter that you're singing and dancing and partying with the fans on the field?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, we were down.
You were at the time.
Field goal, right?
Down the field goal, I believe. And, we couldn't show no weakness. And we knew coming into the game, just like at Wisconsin, they'll start jumping, and they get rowdy. And we're like, we're not showing no weakness. We're not showing, we're down. So we're going to get rowdy right with them. And, I think that made a statement. I think it made a statement. I don't think they liked it too much, just in my opinion. It was good, man. It was good.
At what point in your career at Michigan did that doubt evacuate as far as when it's a tight ball game, when it's a fourth quarter ball game? When did your confidence really surge?
Yeah, I think as a team, our confidence as a team, after that, my sophomore year, that's when we flipped the script.
And that's a moment?
We lost against Michigan State, and if we wanted to reach our goals, we had to go win 6 more games or something like that straight. And going into the Ohio State game, we were confident, man. Unlike the previous years. I mean, I wasn't there. I could just look from the outside in, and we went to the Ohio State game like, hey, we're gonna win this. Everyone believed it, and I feel like that was the turning point.
What is that rivalry like to be a part of? Can you put into words Ohio State, Michigan?
It's kind of like undescribable. Two great teams going at it. Last game of the year. Basically, win or go home. It's great, man.
So you don't even I don't know that you know what pressure is. Yeah, I'm sure you do, but you just there's a really good confidence.
Great confidence. The team, myself, we're real confident in the work that we put out and the work that we do, and when that you put in a good weeks of work and a good years of work, you can be confident about it, and that's how we are.
Blake Corum with us, Hail Varsity Radio. Blake, we'll get you out on this, and I want to ask about what sold you on Michigan. You had a lot of choices when it came to your college ball, and it was Michigan, it was Jim Harbaugh. Why?
Yeah, who wouldn't want to play for Jim Harbaugh? That's the way I looked at it. But honestly, I knew I was going to get good football wherever I went. I was going to get a chance at reaching my goals. For me, it was like a bigger picture, and, Michigan being such a great academic school, biggest alumni network, I couldn't beat it. I love Michigan, and I'm glad, I made that decision a couple years back.
Blake, pleasure to meet you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.